to you live from New York. It's Sister Talk TV show. I'm Dietra, Kelsey, your host. Oh, it's a brisk winter afternoon. Summer is, or spring is probably literally around the corner. But it seems like winter wants to stay, huh? Everybody snuggled, still in their bed, looking at Sister Talk TV show. Thank you so much. This is a very special edition for Sister Talk TV show. I will talk about National Black Theater. With me to talk about that is SADE LYTHCOTT, the daughter of the iconic and legendary Dr. Barbara Ann Teer, one of my sheroes. Thank you, SADE, for taking a moment out of your busy schedule to sit here and talk about you and Dr. Teer in National Black Theater. But before we get into that, we are going to go into a video.
Barbara Ann Teer, National Black Theater's Institute of Action Arts. We're located on 125th Street and 5th Avenue, right at the crossroads. We own 64,000 square feet of property, and we are the first Black theater arts revenue-generating institution in the country. We have the largest new sacred Yoruba art collection in the country. We're very excited about being there for 40 years. We changed the local law, actually, and renamed the street, renamed it Frederica L. Teer Square and National Black Theater Way some years ago, after my sister, the late executive director of the National Black Theater. So we have a stand as leaders, new cultural leaders. Our vision is that we develop new cultural leaders who will bring dignity, autonomy, self-respect, and self-love as entrepreneurial artists into the community in which they work, live, and serve. We stand on owning our own property, managing, maintaining, and producing our own art. We think that Black art is a healing art, and it has the ability to heal the world. Soul is an invisible, omnipresent quality that comes from love of self. Our stand is Harlem now and forevermore is the cultural capital of the world. We're dealing with longevity. We're dealing with sustainability. We're dealing with the opportunity to take the stand of taking care of your own. We, like the tree, will not be moved. Our communication arts program, we have an alternative learning environment, an alternative platform that comes from the holistic approach to art and the performing arts. We have a theater arts program. We have an entrepreneurial artist program, which is our program that rents space. We rent space to everyone in the communities, fashion shows, gospel concerts, workshops, lectures, the Panthers, you name it, we rent space. And we have a program that trains artists to be event managers, so that they not only are there to take care of maintaining the space, but they're there to learn how to rent space. If you'd like to get in touch with the National Black Theater, please turn on to our website. Our website is www.nationalblacktheater.org. That's our website. Our telephone number is 212-722-3800. That's 722-3800.
Welcome back. Again, we're live. We're live from the studios of Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And with me is SADE LYTHCOTT, the daughter of Dr. Barbara Ann Teer. Now, that was a wonderful video that you all just showed. We just showed. SADE, before we really get into you, we're going to start way in the beginning. Okay. The video explained what National Black Theater was all about. But did Dr. Barbara Ann Teer ever tell you why she started it? What was it that light that said, this is something I have to do?
Yeah. So it's very interesting to see the video again, because I haven't seen that video in the longest time, which is great to hear my mom's voice. Yeah, so my mom started the National Black Theater. Now we call it Dr. Barbara Ann TEER'S National Black Theater since her passing in 2008. But in 1968, when she founded the National Black Theater, America was on fire. The civil rights movement had come to a dramatic conclusion or halt with the assassination of Dr. King. Brother Malcolm all of our leaders were no longer there. And you know, my mom was a mix of Martin and Malcolm, probably more Malcolm than Dr. King. But this idea that the revolution was happening, and it was happening in our streets, and if it was that the aim of revolution was liberation. And so she wanted to create an art form, a practice, an institution that really celebrated the liberation of Black folks. And so partially it was that, the times, right? We can't kind of extract the activism of the work National Black Theater does from the art. But from an art standpoint, my mother wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times, two of them that were kind of the most famous. One is a article that she wrote, "The Black Woman, She Does Exist," which was about really the misogyny and racism of casting on Broadway and in film, and that the roles that Black women were eligible for were always these very monolithic, marginalized tropes and stereotypes. And so she wanted to create an institution that shattered all of those kind of misnomers around who we were as people. And then she wrote another article entitled, "We Can Be Who We Were Born to Be." And so for her, the other idea around creating the National Black Theater was course correcting our narratives. She had these ritualistic chants that she infused in all of her productions. And one of them that I remember was, what if we didn't come from Africa, but to Africa? And this idea of giving African Americans back their roots past the American history of enslavement. What would that do to communities, families, artists, and people? So the National Black Theater was kind of this great experiment that mixed the revolution of Malcolm, the fight for justice and parity of Dr. King, and the magic of Africa. And so that's why she wanted it. She thought that representation was only a part of the answer, but infiltration into the psyches of our people was the only way to get truly free.
If you all want to call the show and ask questions, please call 212-757-1393. That's 212-757-1393. I do want to add, I want to put in, when I first met Dr. Barbara Ann TEER, your mother, I was mesmerized. I was at the Schomburg, and I forgot what the event was. I forgot the other guests and everything. But when she stood up with her golden hair, and she started talking, and what she said, I built the National Black Theater on 125th and 5th while everybody was going downtown. I was always moving forward. I've always honored your mother from afar, but never had the gumption to come up to her and say anything. But I did when I first met her. I just mingled my way through the crowd, and I said, you know, I think what you just said was so marvelous. I mean, you stayed here in Harlem while everybody was going downtown or out of New York City, but you made something out of here. And she said yes with this big, great smile. That's why I want to add to that. But I also wanted to ask you.
And I'll just add to that. For her, she lived downtown. So she moved into Harlem right after the riots.
Wow.
She moved her whole family because she said you couldn't do the work of liberation unless you were with the people, right? So she wanted to build an institution where people lived, worked, and served. And the interesting thing about that was one of the things, if you've met my mom, she beat the drum around ownership. And so she tried to get all of her famous friends to move up to Harlem, and they said, we done this good to move out of Harlem, you know? And so she bought the property that we currently own where the theater is on 5th Avenue and 125th Street, and she bought about 3 more brownstones as well, because she knew that ownership was also a very important key to what this great experiment of liberation.
Speaking of her moving from downtown to uptown, what were the challenges? What were the challenges of her trying to buy NBT? Because from what I hear, not just in Harlem, but nationally, it was hard for Black people really to buy property, especially commercial property.
Yeah.
So what was the challenges?
Oh, there was any number of challenges. I mean, around every corner was a challenge. She was a woman, she was Black, she wanted to open a nonprofit, you know, because we are a nonprofit 501c3 theater. So so I'll tell you the story of how it happened. So in 1968, she came up and she was renting space in an old jewelry factory. Our address was 9 East 125th Street. It was a big loft building. Interestingly enough, at the same time, the Studio Museum was founded in the same building. So you have all of these visionary artists coming together in Harlem to create what will go on to be some of America's greatest cultural arts institutions. And she was renting space, we were renting space, we were getting a bigger and bigger following, and then on the ground floor of this building was retail. And so on the corner was a Kentucky Fried Chicken, 125th and 5th, and right next door was a dry cleaner. And the Kentucky Fried Chicken had a huge grease fire. It caught with the chemicals of the dry cleaner, and the building exploded. And so that left National Black Theater homeless. And in this rubble, my mother said, I'm going to make a commitment. I will own this corner of 125th Street and 5th Avenue, and I will rebuild it as a temple of liberation. And everyone thought she was crazy. She was dismissed. She had to find, you know, at the time people were like, you need the face of this capital project to be a man. You need, you know, no new construction was done on 125th Street in 30 years before we bought and rebuilt that building. So the challenges were numerous, but my mother has always I am led by the ancestors.
Right.
If our ancestors could vision a world where we were not enslaved, then by gosh, we could envision a world where we owned our own and created a new art form grounded in our indigenous ancestral roots that was forward-facing to build a future for Black people to have true freedom and liberation,
So how did her friends perceive her? I know you said that she was trying to get them to come uptown. Did she get some of them? I don't think a lot of them came back.
Well, I mean, yes. Yes and no. I think a lot of people have the experience you had of my mom. If you were face-to-face with Dr. Barbara Ann Teer, you know, she is a force to be reckoned with. And everyone understood that she was a genius. Now, like many of our genius artists, a lot of people also think they're crazy. So my mom got that label a lot too. The craziness or the audacity to be so free, the audacity to be so clear, the audacity to think that you could own this kind of real estate on Manhattan the audacity. So I think that was more her reputation, the audaciousness of who she was and what she built.
Okay, how did she get by the racism and sexism? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because, you know, that's a whole building. If anybody has never been into it, I say you must come to see a play or just visit and donate money or what have you, because when you walk in there, it is an oasis of just Africa, of yesterday, today, and today, Africa, descendants of Africa, our ancestors. It's really, really a great place to visit. I mean, how did she overcome that?
Well, so what is the answer I want to give you? Because I'm like, the answer that I would give you is different than the answer that my mother would give you, but I think they meet in the middle.
Right. You are her child.
I am her child.
Yes.
Her baby child.
Yeah. Okay.
So this gets controversial because sexism exists, racism obviously exists, but my mother lived in a world of spirit and deep faith and a calling that goes all the way back to the continent. So for her, the kind of constraints or restraints of sexism and racism, the second you give them any energy, you're validating that they are forces in our lives to reckon with, right? You are playing the game that was constructed for you to lose. So this idea of resist, react, be oppressed because of racism or sexism, you will always live in that box of oppression. So for her, she was like, this is why we have to own our own things. She did not want to give energy or credence to these systems that were designed for us to feel oppressed by racism and sexism. So she didn't deal with them, which is why people thought she was crazy. She didn't play the game of give me more money because, you know, it's unjust. Racism exists. She wouldn't argue that. But if we can create new stories, new paradigms, new ways of thinking and being that outsmarts or carves out, I shouldn't say outsmarts, carves out its own path, then we won't play their game at all. We'll raise our own money, you know?
Thank you. Carla, you watch a Sister Talk TV show. We're going to take this phone call.
Okay, great.
You watch a Sister Talk TV show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Crystal. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, Crystal?
I'm doing pretty good.
Great.
I just like to say to Sade, as I listen to the program, it's very inspiring and inspirational about your mother, Dr. Barbara Ann Teer. I don't live too far from the theater, and I just want to say, in Swahili, Alua Continua. I'm going to be praying and conjuring the ancestors that you all will continue to keep that space with your mother's mission about ownership. This is a very touching. I'm getting emotional. I actually want to cry because owning your own property is very important, especially for people like the black people, the indigenous Africans whom we are. This is very, very important, and I hope and pray that God will continue to bless y'all, that y'all can keep that property for as long as you desire.
Thank you, Ashe.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you
You're
for calling. Yeah, you know, just sitting next to you, I just feel your mom. I really do. I think, like I said, you are your mother's child, and you said that something about being in her face, you feel the power, the vibrancy. I feel that from you also, I really do. You stated earlier that your mom was didn't like the stereotypes when she was going for auditions. What did she major in when she was in school? How did she get her doctorate?
Yeah, so undergrad, she started out as a biology major. And quickly changed her major to a dance major. So she was a dancer first, and transitioned into theater and acting actually after an injury that wouldn't allow her to dance anymore. She was a major, beautiful dancer. She was in Ailey's company, and then she transitioned to theater directing and acting. She got her honorary. She got an honorary doctorate, and don't remember the year, but it was in humanities.
But she trained as an actor. I mean, what
Yeah,
method was she?
Stanislavski.
Okay.
She was trained by all of the top art makers, theater makers. She was so talented. She would take her notes in iambic pentameter, and she got so good that all of her teachers, and I can't remember her teachers' names, but they're literally the who we study in school. And she would have to sit on her hands, and they said, Barbara, you know, you're overtrained. You have to go and take that into
Overtrained.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to take that into the world and do something with it.
Wow,
And I
okay.
think her frustration was every time she would go out for an audition, no matter how qualified she was, they would always give it to a white actress, and she would, you know, get
Right.
one of these roles that.
She started training actors
Yeah.
at NBT. Her method of training was sort of different than how she was trained.
Sure.
Why was that? Do you know why was that?
So a couple of things. So her first start at training was a small company called Actors Theater Workshop, the Group Theater Workshop, I'm sorry, that her and her partner Robert Hook started in Robert's Chelsea loft, which turned into NEC, the Negro Ensemble Company. She wanted to train young people. And when they split, or when Group Theater Workshop turned into NEC, she moved up to Harlem. And first thing that she wanted to do was turn the art on its side. So she did not use the word actor at all. She thought acting was a very self-conscious exercise. Like, I go out for a role, will I be good enough? Will they like me? Oh, they rejected me. And she felt like, and we were talking about this earlier, about PTSD. Black folks have experienced so much PTSD by just living, breathing, and walking in our skin in this country. So we could not stand an art form that was based on whether we were good enough or not. We couldn't withstand any more trauma.
Right.
So she called it a God-conscious art form, and that the God was inside us. So if acting is not a self-conscious exercise, but now it's a God-conscious exercise, then all of the training that anyone who comes through our door gets doesn't just get masterful training in how to be on this stage and deliver some lines, but they get a training of how to walk out the door and be a full human being in these streets that constantly terrorize, traumatize us with all of these systems that we were talking about before. So she called her process decrudding, and anybody who came into NBT would have to be decrudded through this process. And she didn't call her actors, she called them liberators.
Liberators,
Yeah.
okay.
So our first company, we're a company of liberators.
Hey, again, call the show, 212-757-1393, 212-757-1393. We are all the way live from the studios of Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Oh, you know, I'm getting really emotional. I see that you are too. I didn't mean for it to go that way. But you were part of the training also, weren't you, as a child?
Yes. My mom, when my mother was pregnant with my brother, and around the same time her company were also having children. And so our first schooling was you could say homeschooling, but they created a children's school called SADE within the theater walls. So we were trained along with our parents at the same time. Yeah, she was a real visionary, you know, even creating a school for the children so that we could be born into our own history, our own practice, and so that it was free for the people who worked at the theater. Was pretty visionary as well.
You know, I'm going to move to before you came in, okay? I know towards the end of her life, that's how I can only say it, is she was having some problems with that. And I don't think it was because of the community or anything like that. I believe it was outside forces that
Problems
were with trying to save NBT.
Okay.
NBT at one point was going to be taken away from us, you know. Did she ever talk to you about that? I know she wanted to keep it into community. She wanted.
So I think that is thank you for the question, because I think there is a misnomer around what was going on with NBT about 10 years ago, around the time of her passing. So my mom bought the property in 1986. We redeveloped it in 1991. It was supposed to be a public-private partnership with the city and state and the National Black Theater. And the city went through a recession, and then probably some other controversial things. There's always been kind of a target on NBT's back from the perspective of the kind of work that we do. And so because of the recession, the city pulled out its money. And so for a series of time, stabilizing the institution was something that we did not plan for in the way that it manifested. And so at the height of it, which I think is where some of the press came in, was a partnership dispute. So we brought in a partner in the property, and then we had a partnership dispute. And the way that that was spun in the press was that we were going to lose the National Black Theater. And yes, it was scary times. And yes, I don't want to make light of how challenging it is to run an institution, right? So it's one thing to produce a play, and it's another thing to keep the lights on and make payroll. And so doing all of that had its stresses.
I say that because I was one of those people that came into the other side of the building. That wasn't a theater. It was another space, which was beautiful, and we prayed to keep the building and all that. And I believe it worked.
I do too. Listen, we, if nothing else, are rooted in spirit and rooted in the faith of our ancestors' intentions for us. And a huge part of what NBT has done for the last 50 years has been to keep the indigenous rituals and prayers alive of our people, because we think that that is our gold as well as funding.
Okay, we have to take a video break there. Dancing out here. We are live, and remember you can call the show 212-757-1393. Video break. Hi, this is Dietra, Kelsey, and here's another segment of Who Does Your Hair? What's your name?
Dr. LaToya Connor.
Dr. Connor, you look absolutely fabulous, and we're stopping women at the festival that looks gorgeous. Who does your hair?
I have my hair done multiple places. I go to Hair Rule Salon in Manhattan. I go to Afrogenics, and also to the salon across the street from my house. Developed by Anu Prestonia, and so Kemet Kinks. And so I really frequent a couple of venues and just really nice natural hair care products.
I must say, you look absolutely gorgeous. Your hair is short and natural. And you were doing something, and I'm going to put you on the spot before the cameras roll. Please.
Sure, you mean when I was dancing and I said, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth.
All right, Dr. Connor, she really let your hair down, didn't you? Who does your hair?
Well, my barber's name is Aaron from Plush Barbers on Utica Avenue in Brooklyn. He does the shaving of the head. I do the crown.
My God, it looks so great. What made you decide to come up with that hairstyle?
Well, I can't say it was a decision. It was just something that was just done.
Something picked you.
Yeah.
Have you always wore your hair natural?
Yes. Well, no, actually, my hair's been natural for 11 years.
11 years.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, my sister.
Does your hair?
I actually do my own hair. I haven't been in a hair salon in about 6 years. You know, I just wash it once a week, put coconut oil, shea butter, and that's about it.
What made you decide to do your own hair?
Well, at first I used to perm it, and I decided that it was just too much work and it was dangerous, too much chemicals in the hair. So I ended up, cutting off the permed hair and then just starting off from scratch. So it's a lot more liberating. It's a lot easier to take care of. All I have to do is I can wash it any day, and sometimes I'll do a little twist to give it like a curl pattern going on, but other than that, that's about it.
Who does your hair?
I do.
No.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How long does it take to do it?
Like 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yep. And then that's,
And it's all natural.
yes, it's all natural.
How long you been wearing natural hair?
For the last 6 years,
Oh, what made you change?
tired of the poison, tired of just fitting into society and just want to be us. So I like us.
I call it your DNA.
My DNA, yep.
Who does your hair?
Michonne does my hair.
Michonne. Where's that? That's a.
She's a natural hairstylist. She's based in Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
Okay. You know something? It's beautiful. Do you ever do your hair on your own sometimes?
No, I don't have time.
Really? Okay. It's absolutely gorgeous. I want to ask you, who does your daughter's hair?
Michonne of Brooklyn does my daughter's hair.
Who does your hair? Who does my hair? Well, I'm doing it myself because so expensive. But once we get the money and the sponsors, somebody's going to be doing my hair. 212-757-1393. I'm here talking to SADE LYTHCOTT, the daughter of the legendary and iconic Dr. Barbara Ann Teer. And we're live from the studios of Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So we're going to continue this interview. I want to talk about you, first of all. So how did you become CEO?
Well, that's very straightforward and I guess a little sad. So my mother used to always say, I don't know why I work so hard. It's not like you and your brother are going to do anything with the theater. And we used to laugh. And it was true, the way she raised us in all of these different worlds. Mm-hmm. And the National Black Theater was a labor of love. Mm-hmm. And to the question that you asked me right before the video, it was stressful. And there were times where we didn't know what the fate of the National Black Theater would be. Mm-hmm. And she brought that stress home. And so even though she joked about working so hard and we weren't going to do anything with it, she really didn't necessarily want that for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She wanted us to feel free enough to pursue our passions.
Really? Wow.
And so for my brother and I, we never really did anything in the theater per se, but my mother was both of our best friends. My brother had a business background and always was supportive of my mom with the property. Mm-hmm. And when she passed away in 2008, she passed away suddenly of a heart attack. Right. And I had my own fashion business at the time. I created my own line, and my brother had his own business. Mm-hmm. And so when we got that call, it was devastating.
Yes.
And
you weren't in New York.
No, I was in Miami, and my brother was in Japan.
Okay.
And so we came back immediately. And the board of directors had asked me if I would take over the role of CEO for a short period of time, 6 months, while they headhunted somebody new to take over the role of CEO of National Black Theater. And I've been there for the last 11 years, the longest 6 months of my life, but also my life's calling. I didn't know that until I stepped into it.
Well, I think she prepared you all unknowingly.
Yeah.
You know, I always say it's not your call, but God's call. God's plan.
Yeah, God's plan.
I always
God's
say
plan.
that.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you have had?
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
But we see every challenge as an opportunity. So when I came in, National Black Theater, my mother had filed this lawsuit against her partners in the building. So what I inherited, everyone really regales about the legacy of the National Black Theater, but when I came on, what I inherited was a hot mess. There was debt on the property, there was a partnership dispute, legal partnership dispute. There was, you know, a few years before my mom passed, the great Tunde Samuel, who was the director of theater arts program, like our artistic director, had also passed. So MBT was at this very fragile crossroad. And so all of the challenges associated with that is what I actually inherited. I also inherited huge shoes to fill.
Yes.
And you can only imagine when you have met or come into the presence of Dr. Barbara Ann Teer, there is no second to her.
Yes.
So that's also a challenge. Everyone says, you know, well, that's not how your mother would do it, or, you know, Barbara Ann Teer was this, and yet I have to step into the shoes and create something that's sustainable, that honors her legacy and the work of the National Black Theater. So I've had challenges all across the way, but I've also had faith. And I've also was trained by her and prepared for this because of that. And so some of the things that I have looked to do was I hired an incredible artistic director in Jonathan McCrory. He and I went back to the lab and said, what is the mission, vision, and purpose of the National Black Theater, and create programs that directly speak to that liberating energy of 1968. I have transformed kind of the business structure of the theater. My mother created something where the real estate would subsidize the art. But if the real estate is underwater, what does that mean for the art, and vice versa? So we've kind of separated the property from the art to get both of them equally healthy. And I said, it is time to turn NBT into a righteous place that welcomes funding from all people. So instead of just looking at the real estate, we started to apply for grants. We started to cultivate donors in order to bring more revenue in. So there have been challenges all along the way, but they've also been incredible opportunities to create something that's properly capitalized, sustainable, so that you and I can continue having these conversations about the work that she did 50 years ago up until now, and really have meaningful conversations about what the future of MBT looks like, which is probably brighter than it's ever been. And so I'm very proud of that.
Please call the show, 212-757-1393. You're watching Sister Talk TV show. Again, we are live from the studios of Midtown Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And we are talking to SADE LYTHCOTT, the daughter of the iconic and legendary and my shero, Dr. Barbara Ann Teer. You have done a lot.
Yeah.
You have done a lot, and you're still standing. I say the institution is still standing.
Yeah.
Did you ever think? Well, you said you never think.
I want to just correct. It's still standing. We are thriving. I mean, last season we were nominated for 2 Drama Desk Awards up against Broadway shows. Harry Potter, we lost to one of our awards too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So.
wow.
We're on the cover. We are the cover of American Theater Magazine this month for one of our productions, Kill Move Paradise. the whole issue is around the state of Black theater, and National Black Theater is the state of Black theater. So I want to also—
you're standing and thriving.
Yeah, and because I think there's too much of a conversation about the survival of our people. Let's celebrate the thriving of our people.
Absolutely. Let's take this phone call. Caller, you watch a Sister Talk TV show. What's your name and where you calling from? Caller?
Hi, this is Dana Mano. You know me. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing? What's your name again? I'm sorry.
This is Dana.
Dana. Hey,
McBroom.
Dana. How you doing?
Okay. Well, I'm so pleased to see Sade on your show because I was very good friends with both of her parents. I just sent a text message to her dad now to let him know that she's on the air here in New York. And it's funny because her mom and I were talking about doing a play together just before she had her heart attack. Because people have told me how similar we looked. We always looked like sisters. And I had a play where we would have played sisters. And so it's just so upsetting because she was such a brilliant artist on so many levels. I became friendly with her because my mother used to book the trips for National Black Theater when they went abroad. When they went to Nigeria, my mother was their travel agent. And her mom got me into acting because, as you know, I danced with Katherine Dunham for some time. And after one performance, I tore the ligaments in my foot. And your mom, oh, I'm telling you, she came in, and I was so depressed because and she said, "Don't be depressed. Start acting." She said because you dancers are better actors anyway because of all the discipline.
Right.
So Barbara Ann Teer had endless wisdom.
Yes,
and just a wonderful personality. Seeing her in Africa, and the knowledge of the culture that she brought to the community is just wonderful. And I know Mr. Faison is up there working with you now at NBT.
Yeah.
So I'm still involved whenever I can.
Thank you.
And I send people up to your theater all the time, Sade. And you are a gorgeous mixture of both your parents.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hey, you have a lot of fans. Yeah, you definitely have a lot of fans and so forth. How has gentrification impacted NBT?
I love all these questions. They're all heavy questions that we could have a whole episode about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gentrification. I mean, I think there's the micro and the macro of gentrification. I like to have the conversation around gentrification because it's really clear to me that there are pluses and minuses, though the word gentrification is weighted and heavied with the kind of the grief and the genocide, if you will, of what it can be to a community. I think fundamentally gentrification is about investment in neighborhoods.
Right.
And when you invest in a neighborhood, often you're divesting from community. And that's really where the pain and the erasure comes from.
Right.
But when people come with resources and invest in community, I think that there's a way for both community and neighborhood to thrive. Saying all that to say, NBT actually has benefited in a lot of ways from what people are calling gentrification. Because one, we honor the erasure, we honor the grief, and we know that there is no partnership without complete parity. So we're not exchanging our credibility or integrity for a dollar or for the new big downtown retail to come up and want to be in business with us. That's not a part of our core mission or vision. But as resources pour into Harlem in ways that they didn't before, we can have real conversations because we own our property around parity and equity. And it's brought more audience members up to NBT, and it's brought a new kind of funding pool to NBT as well.
Patricia, you was trying to say something. That's our stage manager. What were you saying? You can go ahead and say it. Pictures, yeah. Yeah, video. We'll go to the video. Be right back.
Stand by.
I got caught up in what you're
We wanted to create out of our own experience, our own lifestyle, a concept of theater that would fit our sensibility.
Don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot, hands up.
Today we are at the National Black Theater.
Well, I'm feeling deeply grateful that the National Black Theater has opened up its doors once again and its heart to the community to share.
One of the dopest sets, lights, the sound, the composer.
This is real, like, this is real life.
Uplifting our spirits, remembering who we are, imagining how powerful we can be, and knowing how powerful we are meant to be.
Blackity, blackity, black. Who says that? Blackity, hashtag blackity, 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 black.
Filled with spirit and with hope and with a renewed sense of energy.
This has been catharsis.
The experiences are so powerful that you want to hold your breath, but instead everyone's breathing in unison.
We go to Wakanda, we go to NBT. It's really honestly like what's happening at NBT, that's how we take the temperature of our community.
Tonight was proof that the dominance is rising. I'm good.
It did further my belief that if you create a space for artists to feel vulnerable, they will find their power.
The legacy, the independent Black legacy that is this place, we have to invest in that, and we have to, as artists, we have to touch that, and having the opportunity to touch that, you can't squander that opportunity.
Yes, we're going to reclaim our power, you know. Go ahead, Dr. Barbara Ann Teer, work it. You know, the TEER Award, that's what that video was about.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that, or did somebody? Okay.
that was another one of the things that I brought to the table.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I should just tell your viewers that any of the videos that they've seen today, they can check out on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
All of the videos that we do, all of the audience reaction videos are all on our YouTube channel. So you just type in National Black Theater and you can see those videos again.
Okay.
That was a video that we did for our last TEER Spirit Awards, which is our annual gala. It's a fundraising gala, but it's also an incredible evening where we give awards to about 9 people from our pioneers. Yeah, perfect number, right? From our pioneers to our trailblazers of tomorrow.
Okay.
We will not be doing one this year. It always happens around June, which is a Founders Month.
Okay.
My mother's birthday is June 18th, and so we always
Gemini, yeah.
Gemini. So we always
Gemini. Okay.
we always do it around there. Yeah. So that was the video to kind of launch us into this 50th season that's themed Liberation, A Journey Beyond Walls, because we are redeveloping our property and we will be outside of the walls of 125th and 5th while we redesign the building. And we'll have National Black Theater everywhere. We just opened a National Black Theater in Stockholm, Sweden. We have partnerships in South Africa.
Wow,
and we have anchoring partnerships all across the city.
Okay.
And we have a national tour of one of our plays right now called The Peculiar Patriot, which we open for all your for all the viewers that have family in DC, we open at Woolly Mammoth.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm from DC. Yeah. Kevin Hooks is too. But
oh, cool. April 1st to April 20th.
This year?
Yeah, next week. The Peculiar Patriot, Lisa Jessie Peterson's one-woman show around mass incarceration. We will bring it. We're co-producing it there. And so
you all doing it.
Yeah,
y'all really expanding, and all that. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
With the TEER Award.
Sure.
What's your favorite play?
Of all time, or that NBT has produced?
Has produced, yeah. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
So my classic, there's so many. Classic is The Legacy. That musical really put NBT on an international map in a new way and broadcasted on CBS. But my mom's Ritual, The Ritual, and Soul Journey into the Truth are some of the classics that are my favorite. And most recently, the world premiere of Kill Move Paradise by James Imes, the one that we were nominated for 2 Drama Desk Awards, was a phenomenal piece that I'm super proud of.
Can we put those pictures back up again? Because I want you to tell our viewers about the pictures that you sent me. Can we put those pictures? So that's the marvelous Dr. Barbara Antier.
Yes.
That's her. Yes. And what is this? Stop it? Can you stop that?
So that's Kill Move Paradise. We transformed the theater into a mirrored box with audience on both sides. It was a groundbreaking play.
Okay, what's the next picture? What's that?
That is Sancho, which is a one-man play, an incredible play around the first Afro-British man to vote.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a glorious actor. I can't remember his name
He
right
seems so glorious.
That was another picture from Kill Move Paradise.
Do we have any more pictures? Okay. And that's the opening. That's what NBT looked like before.
That is what NBT
And she was so proud. Look at it.
Yeah, and now it continues to evolve, and I'm excited. That is Mums from his one-man show that we produced 2 seasons ago.
Wow. Okay. And what is that?
That is a workshop production of serious adverse effects. So one of the things that I'm the most excited about is our lab series. Our lab series, LAB stands for Liberating Artistic Bravery. We have these very robust residency programs that are the only ones in the country that commit to an African American or diaspora playwright from page to stage.
Wow.
So our residencies, our playwright residency and our director residency is an 18-month process that creates a new work, and we produce it not only in its script form, but we give it a workshop production, and so this is a workshop. This is the culmination of one of our residencies.
Okay. That's National Black Theater, people.
That's the
My family
on 5th Avenue between 125th and 126th
Now, I heard a story when that was open, did you all have elephants?
We sure did. So my mom, so think about it. We bought the property in 1986, and in 1986, the big news story was Hands Across America. And so my mom wanted to do something called Hands Across Harlem for the ribbon cutting. And I don't know how she did it, but she got school kids out of school to create a human chain from river to river across 125th Street, and at the crossroads of 5th Avenue and 125th Street, where the building was opening, we had elephants, we had stilt dancers, we had steel drum players to really celebrate what my mother said was, which National Black Theater is the first revenue-generating black arts complex in the country. The oldest continual run black theater in New York, and one of the oldest theaters in the country run by a woman of color continually. And so to celebrate all of that, we had to have elephants, we had to have the pageantry, a block party.
So I hear elephant, that's like her favorite animal or something?
Yeah, so one, she was a Delta.
Okay.
So it was a Delta Sigma Theta.
Yeah.
Shout
Are you a
out
Delta?
there. I am not,
Okay.
I did not pledge.
Okay.
But I'm happy to be an honorary one.
Hint,
right. But also, elephants are a symbol of luck and of perseverance, and they're just such majestic animals. So elephants were really important. We had elephants at her funeral as well.
Yes. And you all had original Nigerian art that was donated.
No, not donated. No. So my mom's vision for this space, to the point that you were talking about earlier, was that when you walk into National Black Theater, she wanted you immediately to feel like it was your home away from home. And the way that we do that, in the same way when you walk into a museum or an art gallery, you feel a different way. She knows that art has a vibration. So she commissioned Nigerian artists, the original artists of the Oshun Grove, to do the work of, it's called New Sacred Art. So we have the largest collection of New Sacred Art in the Western Hemisphere outside of Oshogbo, Nigeria. So they came and they moved in and they carved all of the art that you'll see in our building with tools that are 7 generations old, so that when you walk into the space, you immediately, your vibration shifts and changes so that you can receive the healing of the art that we are producing.
What do you think your mom is feeling now? Dr. Barbara Ann Teer, what do you think she's feeling now?
Oh, well, I hope she's proud.
Do you think she is proud? Really?
I know she's proud.
You know
I know
she-
she's proud. Yeah, no, I know she's proud. My brother and I work together. My brother.
What's your brother's name?
Michael Lythcott. He is currently our board chair. And so, you know, these 2 little kids that grew up in Harlem, not wanting to do anything with the theater, are now keeping the legacy alive. Oh, I see you're getting emotional. It's a really beautiful thing. She led with love, and so love is continuing on her legacy.
Was your father involved in
Oh,
that?
yeah.
What is his name?
So, Adiemi, Michael Lythcott. Adiemi, Michael Lythcott.
He was involved.
Oh,
also
yeah.
With everything, yeah.
Yeah, my dad and my mom met at the theater, in the theater.
Really?
And so he was one of the liberators as well.
Liberators.
Yeah.
I like that word, liberator.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Dr. Barbara Ann Teer is, we got video? 2 minutes? Okay. Dr. Barbara Ann Teer is sitting right next to us. She's sitting in the middle.
Yes.
And she's hugging me and she's hugging you.
Yes,
okay.
she sure is.
Well, how would she end this conversation?
Well, she would end the conversation saying, make your culture count. She would end the conversation by saying, keep soul alive. And she would end the conversation in the most righteous, spiritual, beautiful way by honoring the wildest dreams of our ancestors. And all of us get that opportunity every morning when we wake up to honor the legacy of each of our ancestors and do the work.
Oh my God. See, you know, I want to say this quote she wrote in the New York Times, July 7th, 1968. And it's a paragraph of, I'm going to read the last sentence. I know. We can be what we were born to be and not what we were brainwashed to be. And that's how I am going to end this, the show this afternoon. Sade, it was a great pleasure. Thank you for coming. You just don't know how much I admired and honored your mom. And I did not have the gumption to really follow her like a puppy or something, learn what she has taught you. And just being here is just enough. And I believe she's here with us. I want to give my shout out to Zakizi Starman for creating this wonderful the Sister Talk TV show. How can they get in contact with you? National Theater, nationalblacktheater.org.
Yep.
Okay. And also we're on Sister Talk TV show, Facebook. Look us up, like us. If you have any ideas, contact us on Facebook. This is Dietra Kelsey, and as always, I'm wishing you peace, love, and remember to stay in the light.
No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. If you ever feel alone, say the word, I'll be right there. Sister Talk, sister.